My buddy's like, yo, Tyreek Hill got arrested. He got arrested at the stadium. And did you hear Tyreek, what he said about it?
He said it was unfortunate. He's always supported police. He said, God only knows if it wasn't me what these people would have done to me. I don't know what type of threat that he posed to them in his tank top. Man, it was 100 degrees today. And they made him go face down because he was a threat. Like, so he did something that would require something like that.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Fully Loaded. Thanks for being here. Cris Carter, Shawn, Meaike. We came off we had Steve and I here last week. That was amazing. I'm really excited about the NFL season, but I want to start with college football because I had a question for you.
Okay.
And I like to gamble way too much. I do that, so it gets me excited. And I was watching Texas get ready for Michigan. And I said to myself, man, like, is Texas that good? And I don't know if you got a chance to watch the game. I know you know what happened. I don't know if you watched the game.
Yes.
But it wasn't much of a game.
No.
No. Is Texas that good? Michigan that overrated? Like, what is the deal with Michigan?
I don't think Michigan's overrated. I mean, they were, I think, a top 10 team.
Yep.
Given all, I mean, they lost 10, 13 players to the NFL.
Yeah.
Lost their head coach.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of other assistant coaches. No, I don't think they're overrated. I think because they still have potentially a couple number one draft picks on defense. Mm-hmm. Offensively, when you're in transition as a quarterback and you don't have as many playmakers offensively, like to me, they look like Michigan 3 years ago, before that cycle of players, went through that. That's who Michigan, they are no match for Texas.
Texas is that good.
Texas is that good. And they're going to struggle this year. Lost 4 starters, I think, on the offensive line. The investigation that they're under, it has to have a toll on them as far as, stealing signs. The coach not having a signed contract, already being into the second game of the season. This is his first head coaching job. Mm-hmm. Why doesn't he have a signed contract? So a lot of other things that they're going to have to overcome. But, it's going to be a tough year. They got a brutal schedule also.
No, I watched that Netflix thing, which I said I wouldn't. My buddy told me to, on the sign stealing whole deal, right?
Connor Stallion.
Yeah. And not knowing, because I'm trying to get my mind around, I can watch you do it if I'm at the game. Like, if I'm playing against you, I can watch you do it. I can watch all the film I want, right? But I can't go to your game and videotape your signs if I'm not playing you. Like that, am I way off base, or am I summing that up right as far as my...
No. Do you remember when the New England Patriots taped the Jets?
I do.
All right, that was the one in our lifetime. That was kind of like the first, you can't film. And then remember the rumors about New England potentially taping practice for the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. Yeah. End up slowing them down a whole bunch. So any information that you get is not readily available to everyone else, is from a competitive standpoint, is a huge competitive advantage.
Okay.
And when you can cross-reference the film with what they're actually doing, and he basically made a dossier of all the different signs, and that was, he didn't coach offense, didn't coach defense, he coached sign stealing.
Yeah. And it's what he said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just like Little League Baseball or something, you're on second base, you can steal to catch your signals.
Correct.
Yeah, but you're in person, but you can't buy tickets to all the future opposition, send all your friends, tell them to tape the games, then you come back and cross-reference it, and somebody had to be bankrolling all that.
But isn't it hard to police when everybody's got an iPhone? Everybody could sit in there, and if I'm in the game and I'm videotaping it, do people really look and go like, he's videotaping too?
Well, it's just it's just a coincidence that all his friends, if they subpoenaed all their cell phones, and then they would have recordings that were sent to his phone,
or they'd be gone.
And then he said, "Oh yeah, my buddies, like I have access to NFL tickets, so I have friends that go to a lot of NFL games.
Yeah.
Not once in all my years of getting tickets have they sent me back any more than one play or a celebration or the band or an act at the Super Bowl, not once would they ever send me a quarter of football.
And
if I'm a major Division I coach, who would be sending me film? This just random, just all my buddies and stuff like.
So Harbaugh had to know what he was doing.
Of course he did. That's why he got ghosted.
And that's why he's out.
Of course.
So what's going to happen in Michigan?
They're going to get put on probation.
Okay.
They're going to probably take away their national title. They're going to have to forfeit those games.
Why do they talk about your old school in there, Ohio State? Why talk about who did this, who told them? The guy was on the sidelines, videotape. Like, you could see him everywhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't
How'd that even happen?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State turned them into the police or something like that. Like, absolutely. I mean, if you look at big business, and if you look at before 3 years ago when they thought this was occurring, that Ohio State had beaten Michigan 14 out of 15 times. So now all of a sudden, they've been able to run the ball on us the last couple of years like they knew what defense we were in.
So before you had heard that this happened, this is something y'all thought was happening in that way from this Connor kid.
It's been rumored for the last year and a half.
Y'all were talking about it.
Yeah, it's been rumored
for
the last year and a half.
They know shit they're not supposed to know.
Yeah, because they had a sequence of plays that was very, very unusual in a big game like that, of running the same plays when you're in a certain front or look all the time.
Got it. They got caught. Harbaugh got out.
Yes.
Texas, it's early, college football, real early. Texas plays Georgia later. Based on what you know, what you've seen, rosters, schedule, are those the two best teams in college football? Texas and Georgia.
Ohio State. Oregon's
in there.
Yes, I would say right now Alabama. Alabama struggled a little bit with South Florida, but they'll get it together. You know, I believe that offensive coach, he would do a good job with that quarterback by the end of the season.
Yeah.
But there will be some dark horses, but those are the teams right now. You know, Tennessee.
Tennessee killed NC State.
Yes. God. Tennessee has a great quarterback. He can win the Heisman Trophy, a sophomore there. And, yeah, I think right now.
Mississippi?
No, he has a name that I'm not going to butcher and everything. It's something.
No, I'm saying Ole
Tennessee.
Miss. I'm talking about
Ole Miss, yes. Ole Miss as top 5 team.
They in there too?
Yeah, Lane Kiffin, he's got the best team he's ever had.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, they are the real deal. They got a really good team.
So they got a legit shot.
Yes, that's good. That's a good catch there, Ole Miss. Yes.
And Notre Dame got beat by who? Northern
Illinois.
Not Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah, they wish it was Illinois.
So how does that happen? Notre Dame.
Well, styles make fights, and you have to have a favorable matchup. Northern Illinois was a lot better in the trenches and was able to run the ball at Notre Dame. That they could shorten the game, force Notre Dame into some turnovers, and Notre Dame's quarterback, for them to be paying quarterbacks, they should do a better job. Like, that kid is not that good. If they get into the college football playoff, that kid will probably be one of the worst quarterbacks, or if not the worst quarterback in the playoff of the 12 teams. So that's how you're able to pull off, that type of upset. And there's something about college football that if you're going to be involved in it, if you're going to be betting on it, you have to put this in the equation. That 17, 18 to 25-year-old, coming out of COVID, so we don't have as many 6th and 7th year players, but 18 to 23-year-olds, emotionally, they are so inconsistent. Like, you cannot predict what they're going to do week in, week out for a 15, 16-week season. So that's how you're able to see things like Northern Illinois, because 7-8 days ago, when Notre Dame is at Texas A&M with that crowd, like, I don't think Texas A&M is that good, but that crowd, being able to overcome it the way they played, the physicality, that emotional high coming back. I know Notre Dame, they go to class and everything. This is a school of higher learning and everything, but I mean, they didn't show up. They didn't have the energy that's needed. You're only playing a handful of these games. I'm just so confused because I used to just work myself up into a frenzy of just how exhausted I'm going to be after the game. Like, do you know how hard I'm getting ready to play? Like every single play. And, everyone doesn't have that.
Did you ever game at Ohio State like that? A team that y'all were supposed to, like, that you lost to, or that was closer than you thought it would be?
We always had one game every year. My sophomore year, these idiots, our starting left tackle, it's his last home game. It's homecoming. We're number 1 in the country playing Wisconsin. These idiots decide, oh, man, it's your last game. Let's celebrate. Let's get you a drink. What you want? Some rum and Coke. These mofos, they ordered from room service. Ordered up, hey, man, can you guys bring up some 151 rum and Coke and everything? You know, we're going to have a little toast tonight. My boy's last game over here. So guess what room service did? They called the coach. Yeah. And the coach told them, deliver it. When they opened the door, he was right in them. Earl Bruce was delivering it. Told him, go ahead and have a drink because both of you suspended tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
And we end up losing.
Lost the game.
Lost the game, yep. The Wisconsin, playing at home.
Crazy.
Yep.
All right, so NFL, I was in Miami today. I was actually, weirdly enough, at the PGA tournament when Scotty Scheffler got arrested on the way to the tournament. Right before we got there. Like, it was an accident, and he's supposed to, and then I'm on the way, and my buddy's like, yo, Tyreek Hill got arrested. And I'm like, no, he didn't. I'm like, literally almost at the game. And he's like, no, he got arrested at the stadium. And did you hear Tyreek, what he said about it?
He said it was unfortunate. He's always supported police.
Yeah, great. Said I want to be a police officer. Something about somebody in the state trooper and family.
He said, God only knows if it wasn't me what these people would have done to me.
Correct.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Well, first of all, God bless the people that decide to be police officers.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But if you look at, the level of education it takes to be a police officer, it don't take much. So now if it don't take much, it's just a matter of what kind of people are police. And just like anything else, you got good ones and you got bad ones. And, people decide to treat people in a certain type of way. People decide to utilize their uniform sometime as a power play. I don't know what happened in this situation, but when you have a guy that's driving an exotic car, I don't know if he identified himself. Obviously, I don't know what type of threat that he posed to them in his tank top and his pants that he had to get. Man, it was 100 degrees today.
Yeah, I know, I was there.
And they made him go face down because he was a threat. Like he was so he did something that would require something like that.
Well, he said, thank God my teammate stopped.
And one was detained too. Calais Campbell, great guy. Former NFL Man of the Year, I think 2 years ago. Great guy, on and off the field, stand-up guy. And he was handcuffed and detained because he tried to intervene, for Tyreek. But, the one thing I try to always take into consideration is that, yes, I'm going to my job. But in going to my job, I go to my job, it's a big event. So I never play with the time, man. Like, you can't control traffic. You can't control, I can't jump off on the median. Like, I can't break the law trying to go to my job when I didn't take the necessary time where I know this is my job. Like, so, I hope it wasn't something like that, he was rushing, which in turn made him rush the officers when they're trying to do a job because they're out there trying to do a job also. And, I have a great deal of respect for people in uniforms. Matter of fact, close to where he got stopped, I have a buddy who my boy Patrick Marino, I sit in his suite all the time. And he leaves my pass right there at that VIP exit where you get off and they have the state troopers there and everything.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's not something I would advise something to do, but the people have always been 1,000% nice to me. I roll down my window. Hey, I'm Cris Carter, good friend of mine. Left a pass right here. Yes, Mr. Carter, left your pass. And But, to me, you have to understand in doing your job, other people are going to be doing their job. And those officers, what they're doing is just as important as you going to that stadium and catching that football.
100%.
So, I can see how this could happen even more often because sometimes we lose track of time or time is not that important to us. So now we have to do things that is going to bring us in closer proximity to the law.
Correct.
And that's what I'm not trying to break the law, bro. I'm not trying to be cuffed. I'm not trying to be questioned. I'm not trying to be stopped. When a guy stops me, sir, do you know you were speeding? Absolutely. I was moving, bro. How fast was you going? Whatever you say, I don't know.
That's right. Too fast.
All right. Driver's license, registration, yes. I'm getting ready to slowly reach into the glove box.
That's right. Yeah.
If you're going to give me a ticket, I'm not going to be begging. I'm not going to be, yes, sir. Have you drinking? No, don't drink. Just drive fast.
That's right. No drugs, no booze, just drive too
Man,
fast. But to what that's even, I think, at the PJ event, that's what he had said too is, dude, I wouldn't have been trying to rush had I gotten out on time. Like, I wouldn't have been worried about getting around people and making a quick left. I'd have been sitting there waiting, like I had plenty of time. And,
the thing about that was the story behind it that he didn't know. Someone had been killed.
Correct. He didn't know.
So it was a high alert in that area. It's raining sideways.
Yeah.
Tornadoes, high winds.
Yeah, we were there. I was there.
It's a world-class event. Like this, these things all can, and both people can be right. In doing that. The one thing I do find is very, very suspicious or in Tyreek Hill's favor because I know that Tyreek Hill, I know the NFL did a very, very quick investigation. And if he had done something, they would have not had him on that field. Now, subsequently, law enforcement, they've already suspended one of the 3 or 4 officers involved. They've already suspended.
And you're talking about in a couple hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've already found some wrongdoing. That's why the body cams are so very, very important. And now we're seeing things that we've never seen before.
Which is great, because now it's the truth. You can't hide from it.
Yeah.
And none of this makes any difference, but how can you be – I think about me. I couldn't imagine being assigned to do something at the game. If there's one person – if you ask me if everybody drove in, and I barely even followed football, if there was one dude I'd know who he is in the Dolphins, it'd be Tyreek Hill. Like, literally, if there's one person I knew. And I'm not saying you know, but you're
right.
When he said, because he identified himself at some point, like, hey man, I'm just going to my job, whether I was speeding or not, I'm going to my job.
Right.
Like, where I'm going. I'm not up to anything. I'm going right there.
Well, this is the thing that down here in Miami, we have so many different nationalities. We have so many exotic cars. We got so many people that got money.
100%.
Like, man, you don't know who you're stopping. So, for me, even in trying to say, oh, do you know who I am? To me, that presents a lot more problems than it does answers.
I don't even mean you know who I am, like I'm talking
yes.
But I'm going to my job. I'm not a threat to, what's happening.
We only need whoever is the controlling officer, we only need him not to recognize him.
Yeah.
Or we only need him to have a bad attitude.
True.
I don't care who he is. And then it ramps up. Oh, you don't care. Well, you should be caring. Unless I put one of the officers at danger, unless I was driving reckless, it's a traffic violation.
I know.
I don't ever think when I leave my house or leave the team hotel, he was probably at the team hotel, and then he might have gone home, but with the game starting early, he probably came straight from the team hotel. I got my outfit picked out. It's the first game of the season. I just signed a contract extension. I ain't going to end up on my face until I get my uniform on. Damn. For real.
You get that on.
On the Florida Turnpike, 100-degree heat index, 10 a.m. That's not getting ready to happen to me in a lifetime.
So what time you have to be at the game when it's a 1 o'clock game?
You have to be in the locker room 2 hours before, 10 a.m. So the game was at 11 today, so he had to be there at 11 a.m. Okay. He had to be there at 11. They eat 4 hours.
What time did you use to get there?
I'm getting there see, this is the thing. When we stayed in Minnesota, we stayed at a hotel downtown. So the stadium was downtown. It was about 10 blocks.
Okay.
So my first game at the Vikings, I got my wife dropped me off at the hotel. So typically you catch a cab or get a ride with another guy. So your wife would drive to the game, then you'll have 2 cars at the game.
Got it.
So I'm downstairs, waiting on guys come. I didn't know too many players. So it was my first game from Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So limousine driver was just out there. He was like, hey, Mr. Carter, welcome to Minnesota. I was like, hey, thank you. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sitting here waiting either a cab or waiting on one of the guys to give me a ride. He said, you don't have a ride to the stadium? He's like, no. Oh, well, jump in, man. Let me give you a ride. So we were just talking. It's not that far and everything. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mr. Carter, I'll be back next week to pick you up. So we did that for a long, long time.
You were good.
long
you
time.
Had your guy,
Yes,
you were good.
Long, long time. Yes, I was in the back of a town car, not on my face on the asphalt.
You were fine.
Yes.
Not speeding, not late. You were good to go.
There's a certain frame of mind that you need to go to in an NFL game, and for him to recover and to play the type of game that he did. Offensively, they were out of it for basically 2.5, 3 quarters. And then have that type of concentration and ability, like he sparked the whole stadium. 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That right there to me speaks to who he is mentally and physically after something like that. Scotty Scheffler did the same thing. He got arrested, went to jail, shot lights out.
Correct.
Then he fell apart. Now, I don't think Tyreek Hill and police sirens had the same effect as Scotty Scheffler. No, I think they from different parts of the universe.
He was fine.
Tyreek Hill was like, hey, that's an ice cream truck. No, man, that's the police. No, that's an ice cream truck, bro.
Matter of fact, when he scored, he put his hands behind his back, made Waddle be like he was locking him up.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm good, bro.
Oh, no, absolutely. I thought he was going to go face down.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
I thought he would. That's what I thought he was going to do.
So the Dolphins are real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's the first time I've seen this whole crew, and they don't have a lot of big, tall, big receivers. Mm-mm. And how tall is Tyreek Hill? How big? How Waddle?
Waddle's 5'10",
okay.
and Tyreek Hill, I would say, is 5'9".
Got it.
Don't let me get mad at me. Definitely not 5'10", but 5'9".
But he can ball.
No, I think he's the best football player besides Barry Sanders at 5'9". Like him, Barry Sanders, Antonio Brown. Let's talk about it. I mean, man, that dude is bad.
Yeah, he is.
And there's very few people that have had world-class speed be able to have a career like him. Not be a flash in hand, not have a season, but I'm talking about have a legitimate career as being a featured one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. He has really worked on his craft.
He's a problem.
Yes.
So the Dolphins, is that just the NFL? Because back when you're playing, am I just thinking that when I watched it when I was growing up and watched it back in the day that dudes were just bigger, heavier, taller? Am I just
No, it's just a style and preference.
Just style and preference.
Yeah, they went into the ice cream and they want ice cream this size.
Does that ice cream work? Will that work for them long term?
Well, this is the Dolphins. The Dolphins, it's going to be hard for them to have long-term success, being playoff success, unless they have home field advantage.
Yeah.
Because they do have a lot of smaller receivers, and unless you go to Buffalo, it's cold. Pittsburgh is cold. Baltimore, cold. Cincinnati, it's cold. These places, unless they go to Houston's inside, Kansas City, it's cold. If you get into the playoffs, you're going to these places playing against these quarterbacks in their stadium, and it's cold. They prefer smaller guys. So, yes, and here in South Florida, on the shortcut grass, very, very fast surface, yes, they have a huge advantage. But in the cold, man, everything shrinks.
Correct.
I mean, but, I think that as they build the team, I think that their quest for speed in their backfield and their wide receivers, I think they're going to have to rely more on their tight ends and as they progress into the postseason because people are going to overplay. Now, the style of routes that they run a lot of routes where they don't break down, they come full speed. And the truth of the matter is, you want someone typically between like 5'8" to 6'1" to run those routes, because it's just a genetic problem. As a wide receiver, the higher your hip joint is off the ground, the harder it is to break down and get in and out of your breaks. Okay. So when you see guys like Calvin Johnson, you see guys like Randy Moss, you see guys like Terrell Owens, and these guys are elite, they are defying genetics, physics, and everything else, because that's why little smaller, quick guys, they're so quick in and out of their breaks. Like, man, why? Because his hip joint, he on the ground.
Correct.
He don't even have to get loaded. I mean, he just and he out. For us, we have to break down.
Correct.
And the technique becomes very, very important to someone that genetically is lower to the ground.
But when it gets cold, them tight ends are going to have to make catches. You have to be able to move the ball.
Yes.
They're going to be diverse.
Yes, and you know they're going to have to be able to run the football, because smaller guys in the cold, and you're running them routes across the middle and everything, they become different people. Mm-hmm. So, you know, to me, if they don't have home field advantage, that is not an advantage that they will have in the postseason unless they're able to make people come to Miami.
Mm-hmm. So they play Buffalo Thursday.
Yes.
Buffalo won today. Mm-hmm. Who did they beat?
Arizona. Yes.
Okay. Harrison, he had like one catch for a couple yards.
Yes, they didn't target him that much today, but I think he'll catch on. He will catch on quick. So
if anybody's got him on fantasy, they should be excited. He's going to be fine.
Yes, he's going to be fine. He's going to be their number one receiver, you know, throughout the season. So, yes.
Okay. So I watched the game in Brazil, and now the commissioner said they're gonna play. I didn't think about it until after the game. That he's looking to play more games internationally. And you've always talked about the brand, the machine, the business, the money, from a player standpoint. Because I was listening after the game, and they're like, "Man, we got a long flight back," and I was like, "Oh shit, they got to fly back from Brazil." Like I didn't really think about that. First of all, were the field conditions that bad? Everybody was talking about the field conditions.
Well, we're so spoiled. We have so many field turf fields, and we have so many stadiums that have so many resources that we're not used to bad grass. Like anytime that we get into a playoff situation, the grass is bad, Super Bowl situation, the grass is bad, we're like, oh my God, what the grass. Now, internationally, we've been watching games in London, and the grass is always bad over there. Mm-hmm. So the NFL, for the sake of money, is willing to compromise the field as long as it's still safe for the players, because there is no advantage to one team. Not unless you were an 80s throwback running team, you know, compared to a team that was trying to air it out. But no, everyone's on the same field. Guys have this thing with their shoes where they always wanted to wear the lightest, the smallest shoes. In the first quarter, they slipping all over the place. Like they were getting interviewed for the game. Hey, don't know what shoes I'm wearing. Wear the big ones with the longer spikes, and then go down to. But they don't do that. They go out there, slip all over the place, and
switch them up.
And then they switch them up. So big business does have compromises. And that's one of the compromises that they have made in playing these games internationally, and also the carrot that all these municipalities, Germany, London, now Brazil, they kind of feel like they're still in the race for an NFL team in the future.
Legitimately.
They think they are.
Okay. Are they?
No, it's not going to happen.
But they believe it.
It's impossible for it to happen because of the travel.
But do they still believe it?
Yes, because just like they have people there that have money, and now the product is already playing a game there. It's like if they played a game in the Middle East, if they played a game in Saudi, they would be like, oh,
they might have their own league.
Man, we getting ready to get this product over here. But I think the TV sets exposing the younger generation to the product, continuing to grow the product, that's what they've done. That's why you can pay guys 60, 50, 40 million. You can the Cowboys have a quarterback making 60 and a receiver making 34 million. 94 million. Two players. Two players. But that's because of the international, the TV contract, the popularity. All of them are making money. It's great.
Yeah, why not? It's crazy. I said the other day, Steph Curry makes more than the entire, was Oakland? More than the entire athletic organization? His 1 year, his payroll for his salary?
Wait, say that one more time.
Steph Curry is getting more by himself than I think they said the Athletics pay their entire team.
Yes, and he's slightly better, too.
Than the whole team.
Yes.
All right, so I'm watching the Ravens game, and I want to know, every year, you hear that there's going to be these rules that they're going to focus on, the officials and the NFL.
Absolutely.
Says, here's your edicts, you got to do this. And I'm watching the game, and I'm like, all right, illegal formation, another play, illegal formation, another play. So 3 of like the first 7 plays, the tackles. Is that, and they're announced, I forget who's doing the game, and they're like, hey, that's a new emphasis. They're going to be focused on it.
Always.
Is that Harbaugh just going like, hey, man, like, you're not going to keep calling it, are you? Because obviously they know if he don't move forward, they're going to keep calling it.
Yeah, it's the tackle.
Correct.
It's the tackle and his responsibility.
So how do they do it 3 times in 7 plays?
The thing. They warn you first.
Okay.
And you've been through this through training camp, and before you start the season, you go over the rules that are point of emphasis, especially in the first 4 or 5 games of the season. Now, there might be a correction coming later. It won't be a memo, but the referees will ease up a little bit to make sure that they get it right. But you can't change a rule, have a point of emphasis, and then not enforce it, because then the rest of the season, it becomes impossible. So the consistency of getting it right and the players seeing it on film. Okay, this crew is going to call this head. If it's not on the hip of the guard and everything, especially when the left tackle is behind the wide receivers or lined up even with the slot receiver, like, yes, they're going to call it. Every game has rules. Every year they're changing rules. In the first quarter of the season, they are going to emphasize this. Yes, it is.
So why didn't he just move up?
Because they've been doing it for so long, cheating backwards.
Got it.
And then after they called it once, he's like, okay, I'm cool now. And they called it twice on him. Like, but he was blatant though. Like he was right back in the same spot.
Where they told him not to.
And he had not only called it several times, but he had warned him too.
Yeah.
So now it's just one man doing his job, and then you just being totally disrespectful, disregarding what he's telling you. It's just like a wide receiver. When I come out and line up, the guy typically will give me his foot. If he gives me his foot, it's like, okay, I'm good. Then I typically will point down. Then he'll head nod me. If he not good, he'll be doing like this, wave me up.
And you're going to do it.
Now, he's not going to do my job the whole game, but early in the game. Or if I'm coming out and, for one, I know all the refs. I know where they're from. I know their names and everything. So I'm very, very personable. And when I'm coming out, especially in a critical situation or we're trying to rush, I'm hollering at him. Hey, I'm on. Hey, I'm off. I'm trying to help him. He got a job to do too. So you have to be able to utilize the refs, to your advantage.
Well, but there was a stubbornness because you keep watching it, and I'm like, okay, they're going to call it again. Like, I can tell it from my couch, bro. You're in the same spot you were in. And then after the game, Harbaugh says, well, we're going to see if they call it that way all year. Bro, they just called it that way.
Yes.
Like, they're probably going to call it that way.
Yeah, and their left tackle is one of the best left tackles, too. So I think that, he's established himself. He thought it was more of a reputation thing. I think why he went back to what he was doing.
Well, they kept flagging him.
Yes.
They had no problem with it. So this is the first game, because the kickoff rule is new this season, right, what they're doing?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I didn't understand until I saw it today. What are your thoughts on it?
This is my thoughts. I think it's going to be a dud of a rule. Besides, it's going to cut down on a lot of collisions for a lot of guys. Like right now, when you see they get the ball, I mean, you standing right there, man, I can only hit you so hard.
We can't have much of a collision. Yeah.
Like cotton. So the overall impact, I don't believe is going to be on the game. Now, preseason, people were kicking them more out of the end zone compared to 3/4 of the first week being over with already. They're returning more kicks than they were in the preseason. This is what I would do. I would kick it out of the end zone or kick it in the end zone for 3/4.
Okay.
In the fourth quarter, I'm getting ready to sky kick that thing, and I'm getting ready to nail them inside the 20-yard line.
Get somebody.
Yes. I'm not going to give them an extra 5, 10 yards. I'm going to make them earn it. So 3.5 quarters, I'm kicking it end zone. I'll give them the ball to 25. It's cool. It's cool. You can have that.
Yeah.
But in the end, strategically, I'm trying to kick them because the kickers are so good. They can put the ball on the numbers in the corner, and then you can trap them in there. You can get 5 guys from the hash to the sideline, and you got the sideline. That's your 6th defender.
And then does it cost anybody? Not you have the same amount of guys, I get it, but from a position standpoint, a roster standpoint, there were dudes that I would assume were very valuable to be on that roster for the kickoff team. I fly down and make tackle. I don't know what percentage we're touching.
No, I think it's less of that now.
Correct.
Because I don't need that guy.
That's my point. They're guys that would have a job. I don't need that guy.
Yeah, but I think the same guy that run through that door kill you or run through the garage door and kill you. So the other special teams, like the punt team, you still need that dude.
Punt team, you're good.
Hey, I ain't got no fires today, but I'm going to have one.
That's right.
Yeah, I need you here. Hey, listen, no, don't you be discouraged.
So you think they're going to keep the rule? I think it's a dud, but you think they're going to keep in it or?
I mean, it's safer. The kickoff is safer, and now the kickoff is still active.
Yeah.
So I still think you can block it up and get some returns. So I think that as we see more kicks, these coaches will come up with more patterns to make it an active play compared to just taking a knee, taking it to the 25.
Got it. So Heat, Pat Riley, I'm a Heat fan because I live in Florida now, Southern Florida. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with Heat. And I was reading this the other day about Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. First of all, you're an NBA guy. You're a huge basketball guy.
Love NBA.
Tyler Hero. What do you think about Tyler Hero?
I'm always worried about Tyler Hero because especially in the East, he can't guard the point guards. Mm-hmm. And he can't guard the 2 guards. Mm-hmm. And very, very fragile body.
Hurt all the time.
I mean, very fragile body. So inside the Heat program, to me, okay, I don't believe Tyler Hero is a soft player. But amongst Pat Riley's star players, he's the softest star player Pat Riley's had.
I would agree with that.
So I'm a huge fan of Pat Riley. My brother was drafted by the Lakers in 1980. Showtime. Always been a Pat Riley fan with the Knicks. Down here with the Heat. Great coach, great GM, great partner for the Erickson family. I mean, he is the real deal. And he just hasn't had a player of his caliber that plays the role that Tyler Hero plays that has that type of makeup.
So are they going to trade Jimmy Butler? Are they trading Jimmy Butler for Brandon Ingram? Is that even a conversation?
I mean, I think that Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler's like a good girlfriend. But every 7 or 8 years, she gonna need her things tightened up. She gonna need her a little lift, a little tuck or something, maybe a little lipo, some Botox. And I think Jimmy, as far as his destination in the locker room, I think he's a great teammate. But I think that he can be difficult because he's driven in a different way. I love Jimmy Butler, see him all around here in South Florida. But he is one of those guys that every 3 or 4 years you might have to put him in another locker room. I do believe this Heat team, if they traded one of the other players, Tyler Hero, and brought Jimmy Butler, got him a marquee player, because in the playoff he needs some help.
Sure does. I
mean, he is that guy. So I would like to see Jimmy Butler continue here, with the Heat. But, Jimmy has sometimes his way of talking his way out of situations.
Why? And I thought last couple of years there were times they're going to trade Tyler Hero. Based on what you said about Pat Riley and how he fits in the defense liability, why haven't they tried a Hero and brought somebody else in? Pat must love him.
Well, this is the thing. Sometimes, too, you don't get what you think you can get for that player. And they had to sign him to a long-term contract. You know, the Heat love to develop their own players. You know, so I could see why, you know, Tyler Hero, the last couple of years, why they would think the way. But I think that, you know, this year could be that make or break year for him.
All right. When you were talking to Stephen A., you were talking about your contract, you were talking about Randy Moss, you were talking about like, hey man, I ain't giving all my intellectual capacity and intellectual knowledge to somebody. Like, I love you, but I got to get paid too. Jamar Chase.
Well, I didn't know him.
No, I'm saying, as a businessman,
yes.
Let me tell you how I took it. As a businessman, you're like, hey, listen, I've played my ass off for y'all.
Right.
You want me to have Randy, no matter who you want me to do all this, I'm good, but I'm also watching. And you want me to take everything I got in here,
right,
give it to my team, which I'm willing to do, but also I want to get paid, like I want to get my contract too.
Well, I ain't getting ready to get used.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then I'll do what you need me to do.
Correct.
And Randy's going to be better if you sign me to a long-term contract.
Right. It's a win for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Randy, me, you, the organization.
Yeah, especially me.
Especially you. Did Jamar Chase sign a contract?
No.
And he's playing.
Yeah, he has 2 years left on his contract. And, you know, I had been to 5 straight Pro Bowls, and I think that my struggles and everything off the field and the things I had done as a leader, it was a different argument.
Oh, I'm not comparing and contrasting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Jamar Chase was he working out at all, or just showed up?
Oh no, absolutely. No. He's been working out and everything.
His whole thing.
Now he's been at training camp. He's been a no-show.
Okay.
So he's missed a lot of the practices, but he's been there watching.
If you were advising him, is that the way you'd go about it?
This is what I get concerned about with wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, and then also CeeDee Lamb was down here in South Florida working out. Now, he was in the last year where they had taken his option. He had already played the 4 years, just like Justin Jefferson. It was time for him to get a new contract. So he was down here working out. But you're into working out in college because we're associated with college on the day. Their workload, like my wide receivers on a daily, say, training camp day, they are running about 5,000 yards.
A day?
A day.
Okay.
Now, sometimes they got a guy hanging on them. Sometimes it's special teams. But they are bursting. They are running. They are stopping. 1,700 yards is a mile. Okay. So they run about 3 miles.
Okay.
When we get out of training camp, our kids are typically running 3,000 to 4,500. So they still running 2 miles.
Okay.
There is no way that you can assimilate that work unless you're somewhere running routes. So for me, I get concerned about the workload and then trying to go into a game, and then people have these unrealistic expectations because now you're one of the highest paid or something. It's like, now I need you to do more when you're really just trying to duplicate. Like CeeDee Lamb would like to duplicate what he did last year. Like he tried to duplicate that. Like I'll take that like right now. But when you miss camp, all those soft tissue injuries, all those things, all groins, hamstrings, Achilles, ankles, all those things, when you have not been practicing for weeks or going against NFL guys, it's almost like clockwork. They almost all get hurt. Now, I can understand trying to take care of your money, but you don't want to put a bad year in the cycle in there, which allows you to get the money. You know, so for me, I would have had an understanding if I'm going to be here, all right, we're going to be trying to work to a resolution, but I need to get on the field.
Right.
Like, that's the only way that I know to have success is have success during the week. That's how it works. So I'm not going to jeopardize when I got 2 years left on my contract. So I think that Cincinnati will sign him to a contract because they're in a tough spot after paying Joe Burrows, and he's played amazing in his first 3 years. Mm-hmm. But the injuries, and especially soft tissue injuries with wide receivers and defensive backs, they are legitimate.
All right. So as you look at the NFL, Steelers won. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson didn't play. Right? He's hurt.
Yes.
Right? He's hurt.
Yeah, calf Achilles.
But they won the game.
Yes.
Who'd they beat?
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. And Cousins had touchdown, couple interceptions,
yes,
a little bit of yards.
Yeah, anytime he plays against good defense, though, he going to throw a couple interceptions.
I know they paid him a ton of money. I get that. Is he going to be a starting quarterback? I mean, is this like not even a discussion the entire season, no matter how he plays?
I just
think
going
to be running
people that want to be cute will try to discuss it, but from an economic standpoint, if Kirk Cousins plays anywhere near the way that he's played, no. I mean, he has too much guaranteed money to go to Michael Penix. He's got too much guaranteed money.
Going to play him.
And if you bench him, you're going to lose him.
Lose him mentally or lose him, period?
I mean, if you lose him mentally, what do you have?
You ain't got nothing. So you saying if you bench him, let Penix play, he ain't be worth nothing to the organization?
No, you have to trade him, then you take the cap hit on the cash, on the signing bonus and everything. It's they need Kirk Cousins to play well. They got a chance to win their division if he plays well.
That's the funny thing about quarterbacks. And I was talking to a guy the other day, he asked me, and he's like, well, we were talking about this postseason baseball, the Yankees, some other stuff. And he was like, man, isn't it funny? I said, what? He said, well, baseball, you get in a postseason, 7-game series, dudes start all year like, yo, you're not in the rotation anymore, bro. We're not mad at you, but you're not. We're going to go with 3 dudes. 1, 4, 7 is the way it works.
Right.
And also hot hand, you're in, out. But it's a different deal. You only have so many guys. I said, imagine having one pitcher. Like your quarterback, you have one dude. Like that's your guy.
Yeah,
how hard is it for coaches?
I mean, unless he's Satchel Paige or Bob Gibson shit.
Those guys can throw 3,000 innings a week. Yeah.
Yes.
But how hard is that? Because you make a great point. How hard is it to think, hey, man, even if we want to make a move, wherever you are, college, pros, anywhere, man, we might lose that dude. Like that quarterback one, that QB, that's a big deal. Like that's a legitimate.
Right. And there's so much money at stake that people always ask me, well, who they going to play? Well, who they paying the money to? Like they're going to do everything that they can, whoever they're playing. They are going to make themselves look right first. Like the organization is not getting ready to say, I'm not getting ready to admit that I made a mistake. No, I'm not getting ready. I'll put that guy back out there. The New York Giants, Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
Throwing it to my Vikings today. What did I tell you about Danny Dimes?
You told me.
He's like a rusty penny.
He may be a rusty penny.
Yeah.
He ain't a dime, no doubt. But he's still there.
Because they paid him the money. That's why they couldn't pay Barkley, because they paid Danny Dimes.
That's why he's in Philly, doing his thing. In the same division.
That's a problem.
That is a big problem. With the way he played, he's a problem.
He's a perfect fit for Philadelphia, their offense, their quarterback, their wide receiver, their tight end combinations. Like that offensive line, even with 3 new they got a couple new starters, but that's a good football team.
Well, he deserves it.
Yes, everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves the opportunity to be highlighted.
He said everybody deserves it. I said the other day, I said he underpaid. You said everybody's underpaid.
Man, the dude picking up trash tomorrow, man. Get that dude
a raise,
man.
I remember you said that. I'm
absolutely.
Like, you can't argue. I said everybody's
School
underpaid.
teachers,
I'm like,
man.
everybody is underpaid.
Man.
Every single person underpaid.
You have to make people pay you, man. That's what you have to do. You have to be so good at what you're doing that they be like, man, I can't function without this person being part of my organization.
Well, you know how to make people pay you, so. Well, guys, first of all, appreciate you, Cris. Love you. Thank you. Guys, thanks for jumping on Fully Loaded. Like, subscribe, share. Also, jump on and click. If you don't get notified when we go live, make sure you make that adjustment in your options. We appreciate you every single week. Got nothing but love and respect for y'all. Thank you.